Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare.
Girl got a 2-year-old Range Rover for her 17th. Now 20 and still doesn't have her license. Sits unused in their 4-car garage. Hey everybody, welcome to AskReddit. People ask Reddit. What is the craziest encounter of rich kid syndrome that you have experienced?
Number 1.
I lived with 5 guys and I was the only one whose parents weren't millionaires, not close at all. They never cleaned. About once a month I would deep clean the house, but 2 days later there was garbage and food on the floor. I found out they all told their parents the poor kid made all the messes when one of their moms came by to scream at me. I almost jumped off the couch at her, but the person to my side held me back. The guy whose mom it was took her outside and said, "Don't come over here to yell at my roommate." I was in disbelief of the whole event.
Number 2.
Commenter. I grew up attending a private school in a developing country, so a lot of my classmates were in the 1% of the country. Whenever we'd be swimming in the school pool, one friend of ours in particular would always remark that swimming is more fun if the pool has a current or waves. To which I had no idea what he was talking about and generally thought he was just being imaginative. One day he invited me over to his house for swimming, and he had a 50-foot indoor pool that generated a current/waves. He wasn't lying. They are a lot more fun. Person B. I too have a lot of experience with going to school with the 1% while still being not rich. One time my friend sat on his $200 Beats and broke them and just decided to go and buy another pair the same day like it was nothing.
Number 3.
Commenter. My college roommate's mom gave him effing $1,400 for the weekend just randomly. He blew through the whole thing by Saturday, asked his mom for more money and was screaming at her because she promised $1,400 for the weekend, and he spent most of what she gave him on Friday, which isn't a part of the weekend. He spent it on buying girls drinks, particularly bottle service, over the course of Friday and Saturday night. Person B. I had a friend in uni whose parents, it turned out, owned multiple tea plantations. At this point, I had no idea she was wealthy, and she was driving me to work one morning. Her phone went off, and she said, "Oh, just read that message for me." It was all in German except for one bit that was like 1,400 euros. I read that number and said I couldn't read the rest, and she said, "Oh great, Mum has transferred me the money." I was like, that's a huge amount, is everything okay?" "Yes," she said, "I've run out of clothes and Mum sent me some money to get more this weekend." I was like, "WTF, you mean run out of clothes?" She said, "I don't know how to work the washing machine, so I've sent my clothes back to Germany. I've got nothing to wear now." I was so completely shocked, so sat there in silence. She just said, "I mean, 1,400 euros is only like 4 pairs of jeans, but it will get me through till next month when I go home." To this day, I still haven't found a pair of jeans I like enough to spend £350 on. I think about this interaction a lot. I kind of drifted away from her after that. She was one of the loveliest people I have ever met, so kind and generous, but I became so self-conscious about my own poverty, which was such a shame. Person C. This girl I used to party with in college had parents that sent her $200 a week, just for food. They sent her $100 for everything else. Then they also sent her $200 a week for entertainment. This was on top of paying all her bills. She got addicted to cocaine and would basically spend all of that money on coke. Then she ended up stripping for this underground strip company to pay for stuff. She was doing extra sex stuff in the back with men for more money. Can you imagine sending your daughter $2,000 a month in cash, after paying all her bills, only for her to end up jacking off strange men for cash? Person D. Kid I tutored in high school at 16 years old. He had a $4,000 per month allowance in 1990, generally by the end of first week it was usually gone. Then he would start stealing stuff from his parents, watches, jewelry, money, etc. Usually the maids or help staff were blamed and fired. Eventually the tutor, me, started getting blamed.
Number 4.
Knew a trust fund girl whose dad gave her the money to start a company. She lost it when she went on vacation for 6 months and forgot she was supposed to pay her employees all the time. She assumed they would not get paid for 6 months and be there when she got back. I quizzed her on this for a few minutes and it was clear she had no idea what a job was.
Number 5.
Good friend of mine, my dad bought me a house and now I can't buy a house of my own. Stamp duties here are insane to prevent rich people from driving up property prices. Although I have to say that I really respect my friend very much for his desire to actually step out of his dad's shadow.
Number 6.
The Corona del Mar High School cheating scandal happened at my school. Parents paid around $50K a piece to have a tutor bug the school computers and change students' grades. They all lawyered up big time when it came out and all the kids got off free and all made it into their top 3 schools. I would also like to add that this made the news, and all the parents whined that their children were innocent and just had a bad tutor. Had a girl I went to school with 4 brand new cars, think Range Rover, Escalade, etc. I was also in a class with this girl when the teacher handed out papers that needed to be signed by a parent, and she signed it herself and tried to turn it in the same period as it was handed out and freaked out when the teacher wouldn't accept it. Kids who would talk shit and pick fights and then turn around and say, "If you touch me, my dad will sue."
Number 7.
Commenter. Girl I went to high school with got a Mercedes for her 16th birthday. Bitched and moaned about the fact that she didn't get a Lexus, because her name was Lexi and she thought it would be so cool for Lexi to drive a Lexus with a custom license plate saying Lexi. Her parents made a cave and bought her a Lexus for her 17th birthday. My college roommate threw a massive tantrum, like on the floor screaming and crying, because her parents got her a used big-ass truck for graduation. It was a 2013 truck with less than 10K miles that was fully upgraded / loaded with every possible add-on. We graduated in 2014, the car was maybe a year old. She already had a 2009 Range Rover. Person B. I knew a couple in high school, both insanely rich. She had a Range Rover and he had a Bentley. So, one night we're at a party and they got into a huge fight because he was blacked out and banging some girl in the pool house. She goes around to the front of the house, gets in her Range Rover and proceeds to drive straight at the side of his parked Bentley. Then she reversed, slammed the gas, and did it again. And then again. 3 fairly low-speed collisions, but so many tens, or hundreds, of thousands of dollars in damage. On Monday, they both showed up to school in brand new cars. Same cars, just a year newer.
Number 8.
A friend I met at uni flew from Auckland to London for a week to go shopping. Clothes were cheaper in London, so to him it made sense. His parents were from Singapore and had no idea just how much cheaper cars were in New Zealand. So when he said he needed $70,000 for a Toyota Corolla, they gave him the money and he bought a used BMW M3. When he went home for the summer, he asked if I could mind the car for him. Given his dad had pretty much cut him off at that point, he just said I had to pay for insurance on it and I could treat it like my own. But as a 19-year sharing a flat and barely getting by, there was no way I could cover the cost of insurance, let alone petrol.
Number 9.
Commenter. Girl got a 2-year-old Range Rover for her 17th. Now 20 and still doesn't have her license. Sits unused in their 4-car garage. Person B. I met a kid who was selling off all his music gear and completely lost interest in the instrument because his parents bought him a brand new Jeep that was current year at the time. The kid was probably 11 at the most. I wonder if he got bored with the Jeep and got a yacht after that.
Number 10.
Commenter. I used to have a friend who would constantly say I love when my dad gives me money, and if I ask for a certain amount of money my parents always give me $50 extra. This girl then bought an apartment, boasting about it on Facebook and how proud she was of herself, how at 23 she was able to afford a home at such a young age all on her own. Still makes me want to face plants into a pile of jagged rocks. Person B. Reminds me of a friend. I bought a house in the nice neighborhood of our city. This person doesn't have a job that pays him enough to buy a house. So it comes out that he bought the house with his brother. Okay, bro has a job, but still, well, my parents put in a 6-figure down payment and are paying for the renovation. Yeah, there it is. Person C. I worked my ass, took on risk and invested well. So after a year of living in the city, I bought myself a house in an up-and-coming neighborhood to rent out 2 of the 3 rooms and cover the mortgage. This one rich coworker drives a brand new Land Rover, liked the idea, so she had her father buy her a brand new townhome and she isn't even renting out the 2nd bedroom.
Number 11.
Commenter. A girl in my school was surprised by her parents in the school's parking lot with a new BMW. A freaking BMW. Everyone who is out is basically watching this go down and she starts crying. At first we are all thinking it's because she's so happy, but then she runs back into the school. Apparently they were supposed to show up earlier, I'm assuming when there would be more students to witness the surprise. I felt bad for the dad because he looked totally embarrassed and sad about it. You know, in his head he's like, I created this monster. Person B. Girl at my school tried to do the whole Sweet 16 thing in MTV. She didn't get approved but did the whole shebang anyways. Got a BMW and cried the same way. Turns out she wanted an H3, so a month later daddy bought that too. She also wanted to be a Broadway star despite never trying out for the school plays. Daddy bought her a place to live in NYC rent-free and acting classes. That failed, and so Daddy bought her a studio so she could teach other kids how to fail as well, I presume. Person C. A kid in my school got a new BMW M3 for his 16th birthday. For his 17th, he got a Land Rover, because you can't go off-roading in an M3. For his 18th, he got a Ferrari, which is when I realized that the family considered the BMW M3 to be a cheap first car. Yes, he had 3 cars by the time he was done with high school. His dad had 9, so by the family standards, it wasn't too excessive.
Number 12.
I went to a private high school. The student parking lot was about 70% shitterbox versus 30% high-end or luxury cars. Some new, but mostly lightly used Mercedes or BMW sedans, Escalades, or other higher-end cars. Probably mom or dad's old car that they gave to Junior on their 16th birthday. A bit much for a teenager, in my opinion, but nothing too crazy. But there was a group of ultra-rich assholes that were always spending tons of their parents' money trying to outdo each other by modifying their cars. They looked like they were extras from the Fast and Furious movies. Toyota Supra, or Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, or some other tuner covered in stickers and decals for veilside and nose and whatever else. Underbody lights, skirts, rims, etc., and all they did was go to and from school, or cruise around the mall. Just total rich kid cliches. So it was just amazing when that group's leader got called out and absolutely annihilated in a drag race by a new student driving a 1990s Ford Escort wagon. Turns out that kid's dad was a top engineer for Roush, and the Escort wagon was something the two of them started as a father-slash-son project when the kid was 12. If I recall correctly, it was putting out almost 600 horsepower. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.